We went to Walmart today, and I was really surprised to see this Nintendo case stocked full of the new Nintendo Switch. Joke's on you, Nintendo. We're not paying $450.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy and the Matrix. I'm back on Angry Guys YouTube channel, and I have a question. So, do you guys still want a Nintendo Switch 2? Like, seriously, do you still want to spend hundreds of dollars only for your console to get bricked, banned, and a whole bunch of other issues, right? Do you still want it? Does anyone actually want a Nintendo Switch 2 anymore? Is everyone just waiting for AAA games to be released on the Nintendo Switch when you can get the same games at a discount, at a big discount on the Steam store, on the Epic Game Store, you know? Oh boy, here we go again. It's your boy Andy Matrix, guys. What's going on? If you haven't heard of me, make sure to follow me on Andy Matrix Gaming. I talk about anime, gaming, Japanese culture. If you're into any of those things, make sure to subscribe. Click the link in the description, guys. And also, I'm trying to reach 3,000 subscribers, so if you want to help me out with that, if you want to subscribe, go ahead and do so in the link below. I greatly appreciate it. Guys, make sure to follow Angry Guy on Rumble, because YouTube has become the censor station, and Angry Guy's uploading his videos over there on Rumble. He's even got some content that he's now releasing on YouTube, so go ahead and check that out. Click the link in the description and follow him on Rumble. And finally, do not listen to the elites when they tell you you'll own nothing and be happy. Invest into cryptocurrency. Invest into your future. All right, cryptocurrency is going to give us the opportunity to basically have, an alternative to the old digital future, or I guess to the digital dollar and all that. So get the Crypto Academy by Angry Guy. Click the link in the description. You learn how to buy and sell cryptocurrency, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Click the link in the description. Crypto Academy. Now let's get on with the show. So, the Nintendo Switch 2 sold very well in Japan, right? It actually sold very well in Japan, However, everywhere else, it did not sell the expected amounts. However, the hype around the Switch 2 is dying as more people realize that the cons outweigh the pros. Okay, the cons outweigh the pro with the Nintendo Switch 2. And we have talked about it multiple times. All the flaws that the Nintendo Switch has. And forget about, the game key card and the breaking of the system. Also, like, it still got Joy-Con drift. It's been reported that the battery starts swelling. It's been reported. He's got a whole bunch of other issues. Right? I mean, they really didn't think this device through. It doesn't have enough storage. Let's start with that. While the Steam Deck and other devices can go up to 1,000 gigabytes in storage, the Switch 2, what do you get? 200 external, internal with no, with no SSD card to extend the memory. Keep that in mind. And honestly, there really has not been much good news about the Switch 2, except that the games that are coming out for it, and the console still does not have enough games to justify buying it. People still gotta wait for all the AAA games to come up for the Switch 2. Which, like I said, why would you want to pay another $60 for Final Fantasy VII Remake and a bunch of other titles if you can get the same games on Steam for like 30, 20% off? 50% off many times, too. Keep that in mind. That's the great thing about being a PC gamer, all the sales. You get a lot of sales. You can buy games at a discounted price all the time around the year, Let's also not forget that people are broke. Many people are broke. America has had over 3 million layoffs and counting. Layoffs have not stopped, okay? Layoffs have not stopped. The layoffs continue. The layoffs continue. The layoffs are not going to stop. And we're probably going to reach 4 million, 5 million layoffs pretty soon. Who knows? But it is getting ugly out here. So buying a console is not a priority. Eating is more important than gaming. And when gaming is too expensive and when people can't afford gaming, they will either start pirating games or become PC gamers because you can get games at 50% discount, right? So more on this topic. I got Nintendine. He's gonna fill us in on what's happening with Nintendo with the Switch 2 sales. So here it is.
Many of you will have noticed by now that the Switch 2 is readily available in stock. And if you haven't noticed and you've been looking, well, go buy one. It's been like 5 days. Since the console launched, I had been narrating over and over again that the Switch 2 was very easy to grab. And normally what would happen when I would say that is people would push back and say something along the lines of, I haven't seen it in person, it's out of stock everywhere I look. And while there were a few people out there that I think genuinely wanted a Switch 2 and were not able to grab one that were making that comment, the biggest observation I had is that everybody that kept insisting that it was actually very difficult to get and was out of stock had one. Which was funny because with the amount of people saying that they were able to grab it, and the amount of people praising Nintendo for being able to defeat the scalpers and making sure they meet demand, whenever I would make arguments that this thing was pretty easy to grab and it wasn't that high in demand, largely because scalpers weren't making that much money off of it, and also because many average people were able to just use a regular website and track it and pick one up when they wanted to, at that point they would backpedal and mention all of the people that were making $50 on eBay, while also suggesting that Nintendo clearly didn't make enough to meet demand. So effectively, they're contradicting themselves, arguing with themselves, and they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. Now, there are people, I think, that genuinely struggled with grabbing a Switch 2. And I don't mean this in an insulting way, nor do I mean this to imply that somebody is not very tech savvy. But I would say, if you're somebody that even has ever remotely tried to buy something that was truly in demand, and you understood what it was like to be in a market that was flooded with bots and scalpers that were grabbing everything, then you yourself should realistically know just how easy it was to grab a Switch 2. How easy it was to pre-order, how easy it was to pick one up at launch, and how easy it was to track and grab one when there was a drop. Because there were a lot of drops of the Switch 2 over the course of the past month. It was almost daily. But despite that, there was always talk about how difficult this thing was to grab. Through everybody in this exclusive club of individuals, this small number apparently of people that were able to get a hold of a Switch 2, they still tried to push this narrative and this belief that this thing is very hard to grab. Well, myself and many others that experienced, the COVID drops, sneaker drops, GPUs, all the stuff that basically would draw in all of the scalpers, noticed from very early on how easy it was to grab the Switch 2. Now, it wasn't to imply that you can go to any website at any given time or any store at any given time and just pick one up. That's not what counts for easy anymore. It's the fact that if you put in just a little bit of effort and a little bit of time, within a day or two, you should be able to buy one. And between how easy that was, plus the numbers with the scalpers, it was very obvious to me, very clear to me at least, and I think many others as well, that within not too much time, the Switch 2 should be readily available. And lo and behold, now, 2 months after launch, this thing is just available. You can go on pretty much any retailer's website right now and order it. The only exception might be, Nintendo.com and Amazon? But you can now have it shipped to you from Target, you can have it shipped to you from Best Buy, you can have it shipped to you from Sam's Club, Walmart, I think GameStop, you can find a store and go call them up and pick it up. And it's not like there's a limited stock. Basically, you have the option to search for a store near you, you have an option to order it to the store and pick it up later, you have the option to get it delivered straight to your house, you have the option to pre-order the Pokemon bundle, you have the option to buy it with the Mario Kart bundle, you have the option to buy it without the bundle. So this is now a console that's just on shelves. It's ready to go. Now, at least this has been the case for the past week. It's possible that all of this pushes 4 or 5 million people to all buy it out and suddenly these stores are out of stock. That's what I personally would expect. That's what anybody that experienced a console that was truly in demand would expect. Because consoles, chips, sneakers, whatever the case might be, if something is wanted by an amount of people that you expect to want it, basically it's demanded, in general it sells out pretty quick. The PlayStation 5, for example, it was wanted. The Xbox Series S was wanted, and I know this because scalpers were making $100 off of an Xbox Series S, and like $500 off of a PS5. And even a couple years after the launch of these consoles, when they were hitting 20 million sales in the case of the PS5, for example, people were still selling it for at least $100 to $150 more than the cost price. And many people were still struggling to grab the PS5. Now, does this mean that if the PlayStation 5 had 20 million units available at launch, it would have sold out? I'd say no, but I would say that the numbers in America would have. I don't think it's worth really searching region by region, but I assume that whatever the units they pumped out in the United States during that time specifically would have immediately sold out. And I don't mean this whole launch of the Switch 2 takes 3 days to sell out. I don't mean this whole first month where if you just kind of try a little bit, you can grab it pretty easily and sell out. No, I mean you would have 2008 Black Friday type of sellouts. You'd either have people jumping over each other in the stores, or you'd have people fighting with each other and using bots to grab one online. Like, let's say, hypothetically, the Switch 2 manages, 8 million by the end of month 2. I'm entirely convinced that 8 million would not make it to the shelves. That 8 million gets sold out in seconds, not in days, if it was as in demand as the PS5 was. Or even just the 5 million, right? Like, the fact that the 5 million for the Switch 2 took the first month to get to, and at that 5 million mark, now it's readily available in stores. I don't imagine the PS5 would have been readily available in stores at 5 million. If it sold out in 1 month, if it sold out in 6 months, it doesn't matter what the case is. When it gets to 5 million, that thing is still very much in demand. And once again, that's seemingly not the case for the Switch 2.
And as we're heading into the all digital future, guys, remember to invest into cryptocurrency. Check out Angry Guys Crypto Academy, where you can learn how to buy and sell crypto, make a profit off of crypto, learn how to day trade with crypto. Okay, he's also going to teach you which coins to choose. You know, there's like 1,000, cryptocurrencies, but only about 10 or 20 of them are going to make it in the future. So make sure to put your money on that. Make sure to check out the Crypto Academy. Click the link in the description.
Hey guys, in a world pushing you to own nothing and be happy, crypto is your key to survival. Join Angry's Crypto Academy to master buying, selling, and trading crypto. Make huge profits and safeguard your wealth. Plus, discover the one crypto virtually no one is talking about, poised to create new millionaires in the upcoming bull run. The link is in the description of the video below. Go check it out now.
And let's continue on with the show. So, scalpers aren't making money off of the Nintendo Switch 2, which is actually a bad sign. I know that everybody hates scalpers. I hate scalpers. You hate scalpers. But the scalpers not being able to make money off the Nintendo Switch 2 basically shows you that there's no demand. There's no demand. That's how bad it is. If you remember back during the pandemic, 2020, right, towards the end of the year when the PlayStation 5 came out, the PS5 dropped, and it was hard to get one. Okay? It was hard to get one because the scalpers got them first and then resold them at a higher price, right? So the PS5 was supposed to be for $500, and then the scalpers will resell it, right? The scalpers will resell the damn console for like $800 or $1,000. About $1,000, right? So they make a decent profit. I mean, scalpers are the scum of the earth, right? They are the scum of the earth. I mean, like the business practice is absolutely just diabolical. And the thing is that this is not the case with the Nintendo Switch. Okay, scalpers are not making a profit with the Nintendo Switch. As a matter of fact, they have to sell the Switch 2 back for the same price or lower. So they're actually losing money.
We went to Walmart today, and I was really surprised to see this Nintendo case stocked full of the new Nintendo Switch. Joke's on you, Nintendo. We're not paying $450.
They are actually losing money. Think about that. Think about that. It's like the PlayStation 5 was in such demand that scalpers were making a profit, $500 profit or more. But they can't profit off the Switch 2. There is no demand for the Switch 2. Barely any demand. Okay? Barely any demand for the Switch 2. So, people say that the Switch 2 sold about 5 million copies. It sold about 2 million in Japan, and then like in every other continent, like in Europe, sold 1.5 million. In North America, sold 1.5 million, something like that, right? And it eventually reached 5 million copies sold. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that it's small numbers. It's small numbers. If you look at the success of the original Switch, And then you look at what's happening now with the Switch 2. These are small numbers, and it's been 2 months. We're coming to the end of August already. By the time this video is published. Oh God. Anyways, let's go back to Nintendo.
And I'm using the word seemingly because for all we know, there is 10 million Switch 2s ready available, and they've sold through 2 or 3 million of them in the past week while having so many available. But I just don't find that to be very likely at all. So what I actually thought was very interesting was the pattern in which I saw to get to the point where the Switch 2 was readily available. Every single retailer, I think, did a very good job at this launch. Instead of just having these consoles available on their websites, they had it so that each store would get a specific amount and you would pick it up the next day. I think that's a very good way to combat scalpers. There would still be a few online drops sprinkled throughout, but based off of my limited understanding of supply chain management, it seems like they would send units out to specific locations, figure out how much they would sell, and determine how much more they need to send to each location. And that kind of lasted for the first month. And that also is the reason why there was such a discrepancy of people saying that it's available or not available depending on their location. It seemed like if you were in a densely populated area, it was much harder to grab one. If you were in a mid-range area, it was 50-50, and if you were in an area where there wasn't that many people, like a rural area, or especially in the inner city lower income areas, the Switch 2 was usually more likely to be in stock. If you want data to back this up, I don't have anything for you. I'll just be straight up about it. So I'm not claiming that as a fact. I'm just saying that's based off my limited observation, and because I have friends all around the country who were looking for Switch 2s, and anytime they would go online to see where it was in stock, because they would come to me to ask me how to find it because they know I'm the Nintendo guy, and even outside of Nintendo, I've always been the guy that helps people find out how to buy things online. Like within my inner circles at least. I can't even tell you, I'm basically a travel agent at this point because apparently people don't know how to use Google Flights. So they'd reach out or they mention in a group chat and be like, yo, I can't find this thing anywhere. Where am I supposed to go? And I mention which Twitter pages they can follow, or I tell them which third-party website to use to keep track of stock, but they're not gonna do that. So what ends up happening is I grab their zip code, I put it in, I find a location nearby, I send it to them, and almost every time that happened, they would come back with something along the lines of, yeah, that area is shady. I don't think I really want to drive there with an expensive $500 console. Now, I think they're being prima donnas. They're assuming they're going to get robbed no matter where they go, but that's a whole different discussion. Some of us were born very underprivileged, so we know how to handle things better. But the point is, based off of my limited experience with speaking to people, with helping people find a Switch 2 if they needed one, and yes, believe it or not, if somebody asks me to help them, I will help them. At the end of the day, even if I am pushing back against the Switch 2, it's still a gaming console and there are still friends and families that need help buying stuff, and I'd like them to be happy. Plus, realistically speaking, if I don't help them find one, they're gonna buy one anyway, so it makes no difference to me. But the point is that you could find one. You could grab one. That is something that generally doesn't occur with a product that has yet to meet demand. And again, it could mean that Switch 2 has over 10 million in stock just ready to go. I wouldn't be surprised because this is basically the Switch 2 that everybody wanted 2 years ago, clearly. So it's very likely that this thing has been in production for much longer than any of us expect, and Nintendo actually has a crap ton of these ready to go. Or it could also mean that there were 6 to 8 million readily available from launch, but based off of the way the pre-orders were moving, based off of the way these things were shipping to different locations, based off of all of the data the retailers have been collecting over the past month to figure out how many units to allocate to every which place, they didn't entirely flood the market immediately because they were waiting. The question I wonder is what they were waiting for. Was there like a 1-month lull period that these retailers use in order to combat scalpers? Was it a way to test to see just exactly how many units would go and how quickly they would move? Was it in anticipation of saving enough units for Donkey Kong Bonanza because they believed that Donkey Kong Bonanza would shed all these crazy records and sell the amounts that previous first-party, very large launch title Nintendo games did? Was it a demand set by Nintendo saying, hey, we're not gonna give you this many units up front, or you have to wait a month and then you can put it online? I don't know. This is me just scratching my head. Because what I do know is almost at the same time, like it was planned ahead of time, this thing was just available everywhere. Now, that also might have happened because Nintendo announced the Pokemon Legends bundle, so now they're like, okay, we need to move these units forward in order to get the next ones in, and that's a real thing. Like, I think I spoke to a representative at Best Buy who told me that they get Switch 2s shipped to them based off of how fast they move. And I spoke to a guy at Costco that told me that they were not going to be getting any Switch 2s in until they sell their final Switch OLED, because they had 2 Switch OLEDs available. So that particular Costco actually didn't get any Switch 2 units in store available for the first month because they were waiting for those 2 Switch OLEDs to get sold. The retailers all have their own rules, but in general, it's if something is on the shelf and it's not getting off the shelf, you don't get the next thing. So maybe one of them was like, okay, Pokemon Legends is announced. I don't know, they probably know these things ahead of time. I'm assuming they have discussions with Nintendo. It's time to stop holding back, just put this thing out in the market. Anybody that wants one can have one. As a matter of fact, you can buy more than one. I was able to put 3 different Nintendo Switches in my Best Buy cart. There are no limitations. There is no more combat of scalpers from any of these retailers anymore. And that's likely because there are no more scalpers, because scalpers never made money off this thing.
Yeah, that is right, guys. And I agree with Nintendo. You know, when the holidays draw near, we may see discounts or price drops on the Nintendo Switch 2. There's hardly any demand for the console, at least, you know, at least for now. Maybe when the games, more AAA games drop for the Switch 2, people will start buying them. You know, but I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. Even when Final Fantasy VII Remake comes for the Switch 2, or Horizon, or whatever other title, I just don't think, you know, because these same games are available on other platforms at a lower price. So I don't understand why people buy them for the Switch 2, right? And also when Black Friday comes around in November, and Halloween and whatever, right? When the holidays come in, Black Friday, and in the Christmas season, people might rush to buy the Nintendo Switch, and Nintendo will have to offer a holiday discount, which is something that's unheard of for new electronics, you know, for new consoles. We may even see a Black Friday discount, which is also rare for new consoles, right? Consoles don't really sell at a discount unless it's like, you know, 1-2 years later. But because there's so many Nintendo, you know, Switch 2s in stock, just sitting there, just piled up because people don't want to buy them, they're gonna look to get rid of them. And then, of course, Nintendo is going to put more on the market, right? You know, because they have to produce them in the factories and then put them out there on the market, and there's gonna be, and people are just not buying them. We already made a video about, you know, what's happening in the United Kingdom, where people are not buying the game key cards, right? The game key cards, people are just not buying them, and so they're piling up, right? They're piling up. This is in the United Kingdom, in England. The game key cards over there, they're just piling up, and they're piling up so badly, so much that they have to drop the price. They literally have to bring down the price from $60, $70 games all the way to $35, $20. Okay, we covered the story. Go back in Angry Guy's video history, you'll see. But man, this has to be the absolute worst console Nintendo has ever put out there. But hey, whatever your thoughts are, make sure to comment below. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for future notifications. Everybody's your boy, Andy Matrix. Godspeed.